Good morning, everyone. Well, afternoon and evening, depending on where you are.
Yes.
Welcome to Retro Toy Princess. I'm Allison Troy, and this is my guest, Johnny from Geek The F Out.
Hello. My This is very haphazard and sketchy, so this is my bad camera.
Well, sketchy
Which
is, like we are going to be coloring and stuff, so I think sketchy is good.
yes.
Um,
So I only have this up for a second because I do have a setup
Yeah,
with
no, you're
the
fine. You're fine.
yeah.
Everyone, it's not Eldor traveled through time from his youth. This is someone different.
They know what I look like.
So quickly, let's look at the chat while I'm remembering. Let's see, Thanos. Oh wait, show. See, I will pick up how to do this, y'all. I'll be a real-time YouTuber one day. Good morning, Thanos. Geek the F out. I will assume that's Silver K. Who was here with me last time and will be here with me again.
Yes.
Duchess of Darkness, hello. Go check out our channel, y'all. It's great, scary stories. Toy Mama is here. Um, big, big supporter and fan of the channel. Thank you for making it out. Graph. I think that's how you pronounce it, right? With all the extra R's. Welcome.
Giraffe.
Yep. And then Johnny. So, huzzah. All right. So I think that's everyone. Oh, I should put Adam is playing RS4 on PS4. LOL. Excellent. I guess I don't know what RS4 is. I'm old, but anyway,
Uh
it's on PS4. I know what that
yeah,
means.
I'm trying to think of what RuneScape? No, I don't think that.
No, I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm assuming it's fun. So
Oh, Resident Evil. No. No,
no,
that's
yeah, I
that's
would have
RE.
RE. Yeah, I would have
Maybe
got
that was a
that.
typo. Maybe it means R maybe they meant RE4.
No. Oh, and then of course Silver K is doing double and triple duty as always.
Indeed.
She's always the pivot person. So anyhow, all right. We will try to stay up with chat, but may not happen. So don't take it personally. Chat amongst yourselves. Um, yeah. So I guess we'll do format. So we'll be coloring today this picture of Spock from a 1979 vintage Star Trek coloring book. He is in the lab doing stuff. Science, industry, men making things, as we all enjoy. And yeah, I totally did it like Vanna would do on Discount Wheel of Fortune. You pull this. It was just I just did that so I could set this up earlier, and if the cats rampage across my desk, it wouldn't harm Spock. So anyhow, so yeah, that's what we're gonna color today. Let's get the formality side out of it. What are you coloring with today, Johnny?
These.
Crayola color pencils, 50 count.
They are what
Um,
I had on hand.
and they're pretty good for what you have on hand. In general, obviously I use sort of the snottier, fancier stuff, um, which is a little spendier, but those Crayola, that 50 color box of Crayolas is pretty good. And if you're not trying to be bougie on the internet and color stuff for people, and get people to watch it on the internet, Crayolas are more than adequate for your coloring needs.
I've
It's
used
like
Prismacolors in the past. I think the biggest difference that I think I've noticed between Prismacolors and other things is that Prismacolors blend a little better.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's why we love them. That's why I love them. But if you check out ColorTube anytime and watch people who do ColorTube stuff, um, that's the main reason I think most people enjoy them and use them is because they blend really well. They're very smooth and creamy. They are a fun pencil to use, which is not the same thing you can say about all pencils. So I will be using a variety of Prismacolor sets. And we'll have some fun things to do. There's all the chemicals. We'll do Spock's skin. And yeah, so we'll do all of that. Set these over here. And then I'm not expecting you to do any background, Johnny, because background can take a while, but I'm going to do a background. And for that, I'm going to use some pencils from Starjoy Gold, 120 colored pencils. This is it's an artist quality set. It's not as fun as Prismacolor, but it is pretty affordable, 120 pencils. This box is less than $25 on Amazon in general.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And it was put together by Lori Green, who has a coloring channel on YouTube, and she worked with someone to put this together. It's a good set. And as you can see, I obviously do use some of it. A lot of times if I do portraits, I will use the skin tones that are over here. Just because it layers pretty well. But I also use it a lot for my background. Because it is not as expensive as Prismacolor, and that way it's easier to replace this box than it is Prismacolor. No, it's cheaper to replace this. And as I said, they're pretty good quality. So I'm just gonna grab a couple grays. This is French gray, blue gray, and French gray 2, the sequel, Electric Boogaloo, and then French gray 3, Secret of the Ooze. No, that would be the Turtles in Time one, I think, the one everyone says is terrible. I've not made it that far in the turtle movies. So I've got those. I'll be using those for my background. So yeah. Anyway, I guess we'll get to that. Let me check really quick though before we do to see if there are any new comments. There was a typo. Hello, Steph Smith. Glad to have you here. Oh, we have officially arrived. Nolan is here. You have not made it in YouTube on this side of YouTube unless Nolan shows up. Hello, Carol. We love Carol. We also love Cobb. All right. I think we're caught up. Welcome, everyone. And I guess we'll do some coloring now. All right. So everyone, you're going to hear it sounds like a drill. That's just my sharpener. I have a fancy electric thing. So I can save my wrist, which is part of the reason for my sleeve.
I had this USB one, but I plugged it into my USB hub and it made my camera go super unhappy. Yeah. So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, mine is USB, but also charges. So I just plug it in, charge it up, and then unplug it. And I don't have to recharge it for weeks. So
this I could put batteries in, but I don't have.
Oh, yeah, I think this one does that too. But Lord only knows where the batteries are around here. And I should know because I'm the one who decides where all that stuff goes. But, you know, that is a lot of organization, and I'm not always very organized. I don't know if people can tell that or not. I'm going to sort of do a border real quick, just so that I know where everything should end. I do this sometimes. If you watch my shorts, you'll see sometimes I do this. I don't always do this. Depends on my mood, how fancy I'm feeling. It's the sort of thing I used to do all the time, but I used to also make a lot of rules about doing art and what it had to be arty enough. I would have never done coloring books like this even 5 years ago. I was a little bit of not on purpose, but I was just kind of an art snob because sometimes you get the wrong professors in college who like really are convinced that like art is this and art is not this. And
oh yeah,
for a lot of them, any sort of pop culture stuff is like just the worst. So anyway.
So you did art in college?
I took some art classes. I ended up not getting a degree because, you know, like it's not like there weren't, I mean, like I'm as old as I am, this was before computer art was a part of an art class. It was all, you know, tactile, all, you know, like painting and like computer art just was not a thing that was even on the menu in the early to mid 90s. It wasn't really until, in my opinion, the 2000s that I really saw people pushing, like software as part of it. And really around the time the internet really took off. I think I probably would have enjoyed art classes a lot better if there had been sort of the technical side of it, because a lot of the stuff I dislike about doing art, um, you can do with computers now. I'm not, like there are a lot of people I know who do all of their coloring like through a computer program, and I can tell the difference. I've noticed a lot of what I don't like about comic books these days is because of the computer colors. I miss when it was like ink and you had a colorist who sat there with ink and basically sort of did this. They colored the page and then they made a chart and then they sent it to the printing studio. And so, and it's sort of, it's also probably just that, like I'm a little old fashioned about such things, but also I feel like I can tell the difference between art that's, um, sort of more computer than somebody actually put their hand on. So, and that's again, I used to be a lot more judgy about people who like, oh, I do art and, like all they use is programs and stuff. But a lot of the programs have come to a place where it's like you're actually drawing. It's not, the program isn't actually correcting it. Like in the beginning, a lot of it was just like vector stuff where like the computer fixed it. Whereas now, like, you've got like a stylus and you're like drawing it on the screen and it's a translation of what you're
Yeah.
drawing and you can touch it up. The AI thing freaks me. I actually have bought unwittingly a few AI coloring pages off Etsy, and you don't always notice until you get them because like they're pretty good with their thumbnails, and then you get it and they have like the weird hands.
Yeah.
And it's very, I don't know, like I get there are people that are for the AI thing, but I just kind of in general like based on the quality of what I'm seeing and the fact that it's not actually translating what your style would be. It's just whatever style it steals based on what you've described. So I can't, if there was a way for the AI to directly translate what lived in your head, I think I would feel way less judgmental about it. But there's just, and it's not just that anyone can do it, like there are some people where it's like not everyone is supposed to be an artist. That doesn't freak me out at all. I think more people should be artistic and like, it's kind of why I like adult coloring, because there are a lot of people who adult color who are not, do not consider themselves artistic. And it's like, I think anyone can color. And, I've asked some people and they're like, it's not going to be good. It's like, it's going to be fine. Like, they're like, it won't be in the lines. It's like, I'm half the time out in the lines. Like, if you watch my shorts, there are times where I'm just all over the fucking page. I mean, all over the page. We're far enough in, and I'm not monetized yet, so it's fine. But there it's just I don't know. Coloring is supposed to, for me, is fun. It's way more fun when I do stuff like Star Trek or Star Wars or the toy properties I liked, which is sort of why I do. I'm sort of in this weird place where it's technically color too, but technically toy too, but my content is both. Because on ColorTube, a lot of it is you have to do tutorials. Um, like that's what people go to you for over there, and or they want you to color the new adult coloring book, and I don't always enjoy. There's some great adult coloring book artists, but a lot of it is not what I would want to color. So it's just more limiting, and this is fun. Yeah, like it's funny. I'm not, haven't really ever been a Star Trek person. I always was way more Star Wars because Star Trek was always a little boring to me as a kid. It didn't help how bad some of the Star Trek movies are that were coming out when I was a kid. I think we went and saw well, we went to see the first one in theaters and I talked about this on your Star Trek episode that I was on. You know, our beautiful bald, you know, lieutenant. But other than that, like the movie was not. I fell asleep because I went expecting Star Wars and it was Star Trek, and
Oh yeah, Star Trek the motion picture is like
you know, and
it's
so we,
it's it's one of those things that like that's not a movie, that's a film.
yeah, right. It was,
And there's yeah,
and I've tried to rewatch it as an adult, and I don't, it just doesn't quite land.
it's not an exciting film.
It really is.
It's not an exciting movie.
I
Uh
have said once or twice when I've almost made it all the way through in one sitting that if it were cut down to like a multi-part episode of the Star Trek thing, that it probably would have played better. It'd probably still play better if it was sort of cut down and structured. My sort of overarching opinion is with a lot of the Star Trek movies that don't land, it's because, you know, for the first one especially, it was like, it feels more like to me they were just like, oh, let's write a really long episode of the show without necessarily having the pacing and the excitement that a good movie needs. So, you know, typical stuff. So
yeah,
did
and there's
oh, sorry.
a couple of movies get that criticism that it just feels like a long episode, which to me is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Um but some movies are definitely better than others.
Yeah. Well, um you know, well, Star Trek 1 wasn't great. So then The Wrath of Khan came out, so we definitely were not going to go see that. Because my mom was like, you know, Allison fell asleep during the first one. And so we didn't go see Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, which was a good one. So everyone's like, oh, Wrath of Khan, so good. Um, and then for obvious reasons, there's sort of that big thing that happens at the end that I'm not going to mention because I know Kayla is with us.
Yes.
And I don't want to
No
spoil that
spoilers.
for her.
But everybody else knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, right. And so because of that, like there was all that hype around Star Trek 3. So we went and saw Star Trek 3, and guess who fell asleep
Yeah.
during Star Trek 3? Yeah. So, you know, and again, so the next one came out, Star Trek 4, and it was apparently very good, and everyone gushed, and Star Trek 4, you know, came and went. We didn't go because I fell asleep in Star Trek 3. So Star Trek 5 comes out, and we're like, let's go see Star Trek 5 because apparently they're good now. So yeah, I later, of course, found out that there's the every other movie rule where it's like all the odd ones
Yeah,
are
the
yeah,
the odd numbered Star Trek films are generally regarded as the weakest.
yeah. So that yeah, so that definitely did not help with the Star Trek thing for me. And you know, like Star Wars and Star Trek. I mean, if you're a fan of both or one or the other, you also, you know, people get this. You know, like they're not the same thing. They're not the same genre. They're not people who sort of think they are the people who just lump all sci-fi together. Like Alien is a sci-fi franchise, but it leans way more into horror. So you can like Alien but not be into science fiction. So it's like it's just a different flavor. Like you can read Philip K. Dick but not actually like science fiction because despite most of his work being sci-fi, it's got different layers to your typical sci-fi. So
Yeah, a lot of people say the difference between like Star Trek is sci-fi and Star Wars is science fantasy,
right.
but I mean it's still sci-fi because
I think
there's
that's it. Yeah, I think
spaceships and they're in it's Star Wars. It's predominantly
right.
science fiction with fantasy elements mixed in with like space wizards.
Well, it's all, you know, sci-fi is just, you know, like science fiction, but it's all speculative fiction. And it's like, it's a really broad sort of genre for sure. But at the same time, it's like, they're in the same genre. It's just a different, Star Trek is more philosophical. It's way more about, Star Trek to me, and like the difference is Star Trek is always a situation where it's taking the problems of today and sort of putting them through that science fiction filter, whereas Star Wars is about sort of the archetypes and sort of the grand stories. You know, like obviously there's a lot of the Joseph Campbell stuff in Star Wars, which you don't really find the same way in Star Trek. Star Trek is more about, to me, oh, you know, even in the 60s, like a lot of it, as Kayla is finding out during your rewatch, a lot of it is really dated now and not progressive at all. But like when that show was coming out, it was revolutionary. Like there's a
Oh
black
yeah.
woman, there's an Asian man, there's a Russian, like they're all getting along, they're all in space. And the fact that, you know, like he's Asian and she's black and a woman and he's Russian, none of that actually, at least in theory, none of that impacts who they are, their status within the Enterprise. Like, even though we all know there is behind the scenes stuff because it's still in the real world, but the basic concept of Star Trek is all of those people were equal, and the only difference between them was sort of like their role on the ship. Like, obviously, Kirk outranks all of them, not because he's the white dude, but because he's the captain. And
Right.
so, you know, I mean, obviously, bias gets into that regardless, but I don't know. Like, I think also for me, a lot of my Star Trek issue is always I really want to like Star Trek because of what it represents, what it's going for, and then it doesn't always quite work for me. So, yeah, it's typical. So
Yeah,
did you do any sort of art college stuff?
So I originally majored in graphic design.
Oh, nice.
So I had a bunch of art classes, and then design fundamentals did not agree with me. So
Not agree with a lot of people.
I ended up deciding that I didn't know what I wanted to do and stopped, and did not go back until recently. I went and got a degree in office management. I got my associate's degree in office management. But before that, yeah, I had spent like a year and a half in, I think I did 3 semesters of graphic design stuff before I did design fundamentals and was like, nah, I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
done.
I think I did all right with all of the basic stuff. It was the point where I basically had to declare a major, and I was just like, and also a lot of it was it just stopped being fun for me, and this is sort of it's a problem in my life in general. But when things stop being fun, I don't invest in them the same way, and that's really bad if it's college and you're paying a lot of money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also didn't. Same thing. Like I went into like my official major was going to be journalism, because I wanted to be a reporter and I wanted to like change the world. And I was in journalism school during the era era is right era of like that fun time where it was like Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding and Amy Fisher and Joey Buttafuoco and Lorena Bobbitt and John Bobbitt, and you know, sort of right when the tabloid thing was really blowing up. And that was what was happening in journalism. And I kind of didn't want to be a part of any of that. And I just saw that
Yeah.
that was the direction it was going. So I kind of got out because it was no longer, you know, my journalism professor was showing us like all the President's Men and Network. And you know, like Network, if you haven't seen it, is very much sort of where media is now. And it was made like in the 70s. So it pretty much predicted where we were going. And you know, like he sort of presented it as all the President's Men of this is what journalism should be, this is what it's going to become, and let's good reporters like you get out there. And I'm like, that's just not. Like, I don't want to save the world that way. So, you know, it stopped being fun, so I got out. where I sometimes wonder if I had stayed, um, how corrupt about all of that I would be. You know, you end up becoming that thing, you know, to get sort of the next click or whatever, the whatever we would have called it back then, to get those ratings. So the Nielsen's didn't turn the channel on you. So yeah, I actually did not finish college for that reason, because I was just like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was wasting money. I was making good money at Blockbuster and had an opportunity to, you know, move to a different state and get a different, you know, be at a different store that was higher volume and better pay. And it was in Austin, which was by my family, my grandparents, you know, so it was very appealing. So I sort of, yeah, so I was like, I'm just not going to finish this. You guys cost too much. I'm just going to get up at 10 a.m. every morning, go open a Blockbuster, stock some shelves, watch some movies, go shopping on my day off, have bad relationships, enjoy my 20s. That's what it's there for. You know, and in Louisiana, like when you order Chinese food, they will deliver alcohol to you and not even check your, I mean, I was legal in Louisiana at the time, but they didn't even check your ID. They just showed up with like a volcano at your door. So let's see if, you know, oh no, that's not what I want to do. Ooh, God, no. All right. Let's see. All right, well, I wanted to try to make yours bigger, so we are just going to make Johnny dominant for a little bit so we can see
Oh
what
wow.
Johnny is doing.
So I did this as I think it was last night on Oz's thing. Brick said
Yeah,
this beaker needed to be like ice blue, so that's the lightest blue.
yeah.
That's for you, Brick.
Either he's in chat or he's on the replay. Let's see, and
He's
I'll check
there.
some comments
Yeah,
really
he
quick.
was.
Brick! All right, let's highlight some stuff. Because people have arrived. That's what happens. You start talking and stop paying attention to it, and people arrive. Oh no, you got censored. That's the worst. All right. Yes, there was an Asian man on Star Trek. Brick, who knows that? Payne, hello, welcome, Payne. Pop actor, aka Rick. Yep, that's true. Hello, Ed. Good to see you this morning. Let's see. Skip past. Everyone saying hello to each other. Love that everyone here knows each other. We've got friends. All right, looks like we are caught up with who's here. Now let's see. Yep. Yep. No, George Takei has some amazing stuff. I'm really happy he was able to reach a place where he was able to come out and be happy about it and like really also his discussions about the internment camps that they got to live in.
Yeah.
That's that man has been through some shit, and you know, been pretty resilient. So way to go, George Takei. You know, and Leonard Nimoy as well. Spock, who we are coloring today, like he, you know, considering the time, you know, he also sort of, you know, he was a little too ethnic at the time for a lot of people. So it's always interesting how that shifts. Like at the time, just knowing, you know, by the 80s and 90s, like Nimoy wasn't really considered sort of ethnic anymore the way he would have been in the 60s. And it's just interesting that that shift happens.
Right,
Like,
because he's Jewish, right? Like I
yeah,
think that's what he
he was
said. The
very,
whole
very Jewish. Like, you know, back then, you know, like you had to be the right kind of Jewish. I mean, I would argue you still kind of have to be in certain circles, but it's less, you know.
Yeah,
It's not quite as intense as it was in the 60s, I would say. So
the whole "Live Long and Prosper" Vulcan salute, he said, was just something he saw a rabbi doing during
yeah,
service.
yeah, and yeah, yeah. That tracks. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because you do hear this sort of behind the scenes stuff where it wasn't the utopia we saw on screen. And that's the one thing I 100% always, even Shatner, despite him being one of the few celebrities I've had a bad experience with, um, I will say that you never get that from watching them on screen. I mean, it's really hard to see anything other than Shatner inhaling every bit of scenery around when he's not knocking it over with all of those ham sandwiches he's always gnawing on. Shatner has never seen a scene he can't like chew through. And we love that for him. But at the same time, other than like his being a complete ham, it never comes across sort of watching as anything other than an actor's ego. You don't get that there's any sort of underpinning. I will say, whenever George Takei did sort of talk about some of the behind the scenes bullshit that he dealt with from Shatner, that was disappointing.
Yeah,
Because
I haven't looked into, like, I've heard the stories, that he
yeah,
was not easy to deal with and kind of egotistical behind the scenes. I haven't read specific stories, but supposedly in more recent years he has like made apologies to everybody
he's
for ways that he treated them and has really chilled out from what I.
I have heard that. So I hope that is the case because I did extra work on this congeniality. And one of the scenes we filmed included him. And my my takeaway from this congeniality is most celebrities are actually pretty awesome. Most celebrities. And I didn't have any sort of one-on-one, but just watching how Shatner behaved between takes with the other actors and like the crew member, the people that are there to make him look good. It just, like, sir, you are not, this is a Sandra Bullock vehicle, and like you're a name, but you're a name in the way that the all-star cast on the Love Boat is a name. You're like the older actor who will get a couple old people and a couple, like geeky nerd types who love Star Trek to come risk seeing the Sandra Bullock movie. You're sort of like oh, look at this cool thing we've added to Sandra's movie. And just sort of to behave in that way. In general, like, even if he weren't Shatner, I'm a firm believer when you are on a set like that, and this is just from doing extra work and like typical drama theater geek queer kid stuff. My belief is like it takes a village to make the play, and the entire cast and crew is the village. And if you shit on somebody else in the village, like, you deserve to have a bad toupee, Shatner. Anyway, so
Well,
I
Kayla
don't
can
know.
tell us. Kayla, I believe, is going to be meeting him at a
I
con
know
here
she
coming
said
up.
that.
So
So excited. Oh, okay. Quickly, Lawrence, you're so true, Brick. It is so last year. Oh my god, you guys. Like, all right. Let's see. We will leave that up. That will just be the theme until something better comes along. Allison, that comment is so last year. It's like last year, Brooke, when I went to the Val party, and you were like over there with Brittany Alexander, who has the I in her name, but it's not where you expect the I to be. It's an unconventional I. Like, whatever.
they're like Madison with a Y, but it's not where you think.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Exactly. I say all that, but I was a teenager. I was very much a Valley girl at one point in my life. I was not always this deep and thoughtful. I went through that phase in high school where like I really wanted to be normal. And that was the year like swatches were really big and I got a clear swatch. So I literally like decided my favorite color was clear. And I had a clear backpack so you could see everything, which was pretty freaking handy. But it's also when I'm like, why do I have like 3 forks in my bag? Um, and then, in high school, people are like, why do you have hot sauce? And I'm like, just give it a few years. You will understand why I have hot sauce in my bag. And it's, I did live in Louisiana at the time, so didn't make as much sense. But once I moved to the West Coast, I'm like, young me really got it. Like, because there are times I would go to a restaurant and get food and break the hot sauce out of my bag. And like, the waiter would be like, is your food okay? I'm like, other than the blandness, it's fine. I did that one time at a very nice restaurant that had like a chef who had like won some sort of awards, but it definitely was not an award for salt or seasoning or anything other than just bland. And there was something like, well, it's like an old French recipe. And I'm like, I thought French people knew how to season food. And there was like, it wasn't even buttery, which is what when somebody says it's French food, I expect it to either be made with a gallon and a jug of wine or a lot of butter and cream, and it was neither. It was bland, it was dry, and I was spending $50 for it. So I was going to put some hot sauce on it, because if I'm spending $50 and it tastes like crap, I get to do whatever I want, and putting hot sauce on it is the best thing I could do, other than what I really want to do, which is throw it across the room.
I can't say that. What's French besides like croissants? I don't know what would be considered French cuisine.
My
besides...
favorite French dish is coq au vin.
I don't know what that is.
Which I've only made once, because to properly do it takes years. Not really. It takes a while to make a proper coq au vin. I make a really quick crock pot version, which is where you dump wine in the crock pot with a couple packets of store brand Brown's like beef stew mix and au jus, and mix all the powders with the wine and some beef broth, and like throw your chicken in there and the potatoes and all of your root vegetables, and just let it simmer for a couple hours on high. So that's my trailer park, because I did grow up in a trailer park.
So wait, is French onion soup actually French? Or is it just called French onion soup?
I think it's French onion soup is stolen from the concept of French soup. So yeah, so I think it's just like a distilled in a box version of actual French soup. But I could be wrong. I don't know a lot about French, other than their croissants are amazing, and they have the tower that means dirty things now in the modern age. Kayla, what is an Eiffel Tower? Don't answer that. We don't want you to get banned or censored again. So
I'm realizing I'm starting to realize the downside of this particular set. There's not a lot of like, I did this big ass distillery thing over here as
that looks
purple.
really good. I like it.
And I wanted just like one shade lighter for like where the reflections are.
Yeah.
But you don't get that. You go from like violet to orchid.
Yep.
Or back up to navy blue. Like, I want like a couple of steps between, but I'm gonna have to make do with.
Yeah.
And like, I want brass for some of the fittings and stuff here, but I've got silver and gold for metallic. So
well, and even sometimes metallics in those. I mean, I'm going to throw my beloved Prismacolors under the bus. And if it was autocorrect would have just changed that to under the bussy. BUSSY. Thanks, autocorrect. But even with Prismacolor, the silver and gold metallics are not my favorite. They're a little too metallic-y, and they and also for my needs, they don't look good on camera. So you can't always tell that that's what you have done. But yeah. But also purple in general is, like Prismacolor just had to discontinue lilac and lavender, and they replaced it with amethyst and orchid because the pigment they used to make those was discontinued. Like, so whoever used those pigments to make anything can no longer make that thing with that pigment ever again. So apparently pigments are a limited resource. Who knew?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, what causes a pigment to be
Right? Well, I would
discontinued?
assume some of it is artificial. It tends to happen a lot with blues and violets, and of course, the nerdy part of me likes to remind people that until a few centuries, till recent human history, we didn't actually perceive blue. It was all violet, which is why blue isn't on a lot of the older stuff that you get about color charts and stuff, because blue didn't always exist for us. So, and with that in mind, I'm going to use some
Interesting.
dioxide purple hue. Get a little purple in this. Now that I've got all the gray, it's all gray and drab and boring. Yeah, no, coq au vin. Like, it's my favorite French dish. I have spent way too much in restaurants before to get it, but it's just knowing what it takes. It's usually worth every freaking penny. Because there's just something about like a real nice, slow cooked beefy meal like that is like perfect. It gives you the itis.
The other downside to this particular pencil is that they crumble sometimes
Yeah, that happens.
instead of.
I've never met a pencil that did not have something there. It tends to, again, that's like a purple or a blue, right?
This is the silver
Oh, it's the
that
silver.
crumbled.
Weird. I always have like my purples and blues that tend to crumble on me, no matter what brand I'm using. I have this couple sets of the Black Widow pen. Well, I have all of the sets. No, let's not downplay that. I have every one of the Black Widow pencil sets so that I have their full line, and like they're a pretty nice quality pencil. But there are a couple. It tends to be the blues. There's a green also in there that like it looks like I used it a lot, but it's just it crumbled so bad that there's nothing left of it. So
And as you were saying, I don't think so. Like, this is the silver pencil,
yeah,
and this is coal gray, and there
yep,
really
they're
isn't
really close.
a difference between them on camera, at least.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna quickly put mine up. Let's see. Put me into. Oh wait. Let me add it back to the stage. I'm gonna make. Yeah, I will figure out my camera orientation at some point. This is what we get for now. But yeah, this is all like just different shades of gray. So, all right, all right. I know that Black Phoenix. That makes sense. Um,
I mean, who doesn't?
right? I'm sure there are a few people who are very anti-bussy. So
You're
oh
welcome, Brick. That's just for you.
yeah, Heisenberg. It's true. It is actually true. Frittata Pokemon. What are we eating? Whatever it is, it sounds delicious. Both. Both. All right. Okay, now it looks like we are caught up on people. All right, there we go. And we will leave that because that's a good question for the people at home to ponder. So yeah, this is what I have done. We'll go back to Johnny since he's my guest. And he's doing a great job. So for anyone watching this that I've invited to be on the show, Johnny has gone above and beyond. So if you don't want your stuff up on the screen, you don't have to have your stuff up on the screen. I'm happy to have mine up there. Johnny just offered, and since he has a little bit of art capability, I'm not seeing a reason not to. And even if you don't feel like you have art capability, go for it. Because if anyone says it looks terrible and are serious, we'll just, like, I know how to get revenge. So, anyway.
I mean, I was showing off, since I had this setup like this, I showed off last night. I have the
right?
miniatures that I painted. They're
You
a little
should.
chipped because they've seen a lot of play.
What is like YouTube for miniature painting stuff like? I watch all of the ones of the people who do like dioramas for their miniatures and like their game stuff. Like that stuff is real. I mean, a lot of that's useful for figure customizing, but I don't know what that side of YouTube is like.
I mean, there's most of what I've seen has been like tutorials.
Mhm.
Let me see. There was a channel. Because I showed a miniature last night that I put back on. It was there's a channel called Realm Smith that does a lot of that kind of stuff, like
Yeah,
painting tutorials and like, I don't want to say diorama, but terrain, like
yeah,
terrain
yeah. A lot of
crafting
it.
terrain for your tabletop games.
Yeah, I've seen some of those too. Yeah, it's just like often I wonder, like, do they have their equivalent of some of the like, is there over on over on miniature tube, is there like
Is there beefs?
people, yeah, are there people over there debating, like crowdsourcing or, like the former brand manager of Dungeons and Dragons throwing down with some guy who has played Dungeons and Dragons since 1982 who thinks he knows more. I don't know. I often wonder about stuff like that. I mean, yeah, because none of that ever, like your front page on YouTube, it's like you get the drama like Colleen Ballinger and what is his name? Onision, I think that's how you pronounce it. James Charles. You get sort of all of the beauty tubers and like family YouTubers, all of their drama ends up, but you never like, you're never going to see sort of toy tube drama on the front page, unless that's what you're watching. But
It's funny because I apparently am. We've had a couple of discussions with this. I talked to Kayla about it. I guess I am a non-standard like YouTube content like viewer,
right,
because people talk about like front page of YouTube and like their discover page. I don't use that like ever.
wow.
When I log into YouTube, I immediately go to subscriptions and
Oh,
just go through the videos from the channels I'm subscribed to that I haven't seen.
I see. Well, see, I've got like 3,000 tabs open at all times. Um, like I have like 4 different front pages and I just pick and choose. Like, let's see. Because I've definitely got, I'm not going to share the screen because that would be rude. But like in my front page right now, let's see what we got. Alpha Magnus, who is probably not watching us, but if you were, Alpha Magnus, you're my top suggestion right now. Right after that is telling me that at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I should watch a channel by Brick something. Oh no, it's Brick something. It's actually it's not Brick something. It's Brick something. That's his name. He's with Toy Habits Michael, and they're going to talk GI Joe. Kiss She-Ra. I'll have to tune in for that. We all know I love She-Ra. Robotech. I need to learn more about Robotech. Buck Rogers. And then ... because it's apparently longer. Motu and more. There's a recommendation of Jabba the Hutt versus Princess Leia, which is from my mobile game. Eternian Ellipse. I don't know if he's in the audience, but if so, it's suggesting I see your thing at 4 p.m. Let's see. October Scary Figure. More mobile game stuff. Boily Hobby Time. I don't know how to say it, but I love that channel. You should watch it. Oh, shoot. I miss Hedgehog. A bunch of stuff about war and junk. Oh, look, it's me. Anyway, apparently I'm doing a live stream or some such with Johnny from, and yet here I am looking at the front tab of YouTube. Secret Galaxy from 3 years ago. So Dan Larson, I know you're not here, but if you were, YouTube really wants me to watch your older stuff. So
Yeah,
and then a bunch of Colleen Ballinger and Shane Dawson stuff, like more drama. So that's my front page.
so if I actually look at my homepage of YouTube, so the first result is this stream.
Nice.
The next is Amelia Tyler playing Baldur's Gate 3 because I've been doing lots of Baldur's Gate 3 Googling
what is
lately.
Baldur's Gate 3?
It's a new Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game, computer role-playing game, video game. So Amelia Tyler is the voice actor who did the narrator in Baldur's Gate 3, and now apparently she is doing a playthrough of the game.
Interesting.
The Fwooshcast later today. A channel I have never heard of called Auralnauts, an Ahsoka 1986 TV intro.
I wonder why you got that.
I don't know. PlayStation 1 JRPG tier list from Kronos Streams. The very short treks, holograms all the way down. A Fwoosh Weekly. Bullet Club Gold from All Elite Wrestling. Something about Assassin's Creed, which I have never looked at Assassin's Creed. I've never played Assassin's Creed.
You're looking at it now on YouTube. So
but
there you go.
It's from Digital Foundry, who does a lot of like tech reviews and stuff of video games, and I've watched some of their videos. I'm not subscribed to their channel, but I watched a number of their videos.
YouTube has decided you should be subscribed to that channel.
Anytime they have a video I want to see, it gets posted to Reddit, and I click on it. Like, I don't need to see everything that they do.
See, I didn't go on Reddit, so.
And then there's, so like one of the other things we talked about is like, so there's something came out about channels with multiple personalities apparently don't do well. This was something with, so what's the name? Game Theory.
Yeah.
Had a series called The Science, which was not Matt Pat. It was another person who did these videos for the Game Theorist channel.
Yeah.
And he, I guess Game Theorists got bought by some company, and like market research for YouTube shows that like people who go to YouTube channels like to have one person in the videos. So they essentially parted ways with this guy, and now he's doing his own channel again called the Shoddy Cast. He used to have his own channel before he started doing stuff for Game Theorists. So yeah, it's weird. But like, so MTG Goldfist does a lot of videos. Like, I'm really only interested in Saffron Olive's videos. But I'm not going to unsubscribe from the channel and stop watching just because I don't want to watch Crim's videos. Because I don't. Crim is he's very millennial and Gen Z humor that I just causes me physical pain.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I don't want to watch his stuff. But I'm not going to unsubscribe to the channel as a whole just because I don't like Crim's videos.
Yeah, that's just when you go in and dislike all of his videos without watching them.
You could do that. His videos do garner substantially less likes than Saffron Olive's.
No, there you go. Science.
But the interesting thing that they did recently is they started a new channel just for their MTG Goldfish podcast. To only put those podcasts, that's the only thing the channel is for, is to post podcasts. They used to post them on the main channel. Their explanation was, this will get you the podcasts quicker. They'll be uploaded sooner. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Right.
And in practice, it doesn't seem to have made a difference. The podcasts still come out at strange times. They're supposed to come out Monday mornings, and sometimes they don't hit till Tuesday.
Interesting.
But that's a whole operation. And the YouTube, it's one of those things. A lot of like MTG people started doing content creation because they basically had to.
Yeah.
Like if they wanted to do stuff for Magic, you need to make gameplay videos. Like that's that's what people want to see.
Really? Huh. See, there's all this stuff that I just I'm obviously not a very good geek because I don't see my memory of Magic the Gathering is going to comic book shop one time to buy comic books, and they had their Magic the Gathering table, and the nerds were really mean to me. And then the guy at the checkout counter was one of them, and he made fun of my Wonder Woman and Supergirl comics that I was about to buy with about a bunch of toys, and I was about to drop like $150 in that store. Instead, I just walked off because he was rude. Then I called and did a Karen and got him in trouble and got a sweet discount and went back and bought all the stuff from the store owner. Hopefully,
Oh,
he
there you
got
go.
fired, and he and all those magic nerds. I don't know. I don't care that much. I just know I got my way that time for him hurting my feeling, and I weaponized my whiteness. So, but it was for a good cause because it was me.
Yeah, Thanos. ESPN had like, what was it, the first one of the first Pro Tours, or a couple, maybe a couple of them were actually on ESPN.
And all I wanted was to buy some Wonder Woman and Supergirl comics. It wasn't like I was going in there to like, complain about a coupon or something. It was like, let me give you money that you're not making from any of your loser friends over there and help you pay
It's
for more Mountain Dew, sir.
it's so weird to me because like you would think that things like that where the interest in that particular thing like comic books or Magic the Gathering or whatnot is predominantly male.
Right?
You would think that they would want more women involved in their hobby.
I was in there like, and it was a particularly good day. I was in a it was after a rave maybe, so I was in like silver skirt. I had a shimmery shirt that was probably a bit more revealing than I would normally wear now. And then I did have tights on that had like spider web patterns on them. So it's like not like I busted up in there all frumpy. Um, maybe they were just intimidated or freaked out or whatever because I don't know. It just was very off-putting, and it's like I literally just wanted Supergirl and Wonder Woman. That's all I wanted. And it was a bunch of back issues too, so it's like they had some shit I needed. So it was extra disappointing because one of them was like Wonder Woman number 171 from like the 60s that I've been looking for a really long time at that point, and it was just like, you asshole. You've deprived me. I almost bought it anyway. But then he made me too mad. So I was just like, I'm out of here. Put all this shit up. Then I went to Taco Bell and ate Taco Bell. And that was the decision that long lingered. Well, not really. But for at least 7 hours, I regretted that decision.
Yeah, that can be that can go either way.
You have to be really careful about anger eating Taco Bell because you tend to eat too many like Mexican pizzas, and this was when they still had the Mexi melts, and like I in the day, especially if it was the day after a rave, because there's certain things you do at a rave that like you don't eat for like 2 days after usually, but then when the hunger hits you, it hits you. And if a Taco Bell is near, I mean, I think at least 60% of how Taco Bell stays in business is being close enough to where raves happen so that when people come out of rave space, they go eat too much Taco Bell. Like, I'm pretty convinced they back in the day made at least once a month like 40-50 bucks off of me for like a day.
Well, that's like Denny's. I used to run karaoke, and my friends and I got pretty big into karaoke, obviously to the point where I got a job running it for one of the local companies. But it was like, so you're in bars until like 1:30 in the morning, and then you're out of there at 2, and you don't want to go home.
Yeah.
So where do you end up? Denny's.
Denny's. And when I lived in Austin, it was the drive-through of the Whataburger. And then you would go sit in the parking lot and eat your food. That is one of the few fast food thingies. One of the few fast food places I miss. here on the West Coast is Whataburger. And people are like, well, we've got In and Out. And it's like, I've had In and Out, but no thank you. So I know there are people who are really about that In and Out burger, but it's not that good. So
I liked it
I
when
mean,
I had it. That was essentially the very first thing I did when I went
well,
to
it's a
visit.
good burger, but it's not a burger that like, like the first time I went to LA, the first thing that we have to drive to an In and Out and get you burgers. They're the best. And it's like these, if you had not just told me these were the best, I probably would have enjoyed it more. But we also we like ended up in Apple Valley. Like I don't, as if there weren't closer In and Outs, but apparently that's the best one that this person, and I just, Apple Valley is like where they filmed the the first Hills Have Eyes movies, and it still looks like that out there. Like, so you're out there eating this mediocre burger that has been oversold to you, and you had to get up there and say like, I want it animal style. It's like, just give me a freaking burger. Like, stop making this complicated. Well, it's the secret menu. I don't like what? No, just like no. The
So
burger with cheese and some pickles and a little mustard, and we're good.
so this
Yeah.
I don't know if there's an optical illusion happening here. Is this test tube crooked? Like, or is it an illusion because of the slant of the like storage rack?
It's
I
a good
think it
question.
looks like it's curved. Also, it kind of looks like a used condom.
A little bit. Yeah. I agree with the used condom part. So I'm gonna let's see. Let's put mine up here in the front. Oh, there we go. No, yeah, it's pretty crooked.
I think it's crooked, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're lucky this coloring book looks as good as it does, because at this point in time, it was a crapshoot. Like, there's some stuff I've bought a few coloring books where I'm like, I can't do anything with this. It's horrible. Like, I can't even look at it long enough.
You're
And it's
wel-
really
you're you're
interesting.
welcome, Kayla.
Uh,
She said, "Now I can't unsee it." Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the first thing I did when I went to visit my friend Chris, who lives out in LA, which Chris plays on the Sundered Veil on the Dice
Yeah.
Thespians YouTube. That's the other
Okay.
thing I do, the urban fantasy role playing game that I
Yeah.
run. Which we're getting ready to record episode 6 of season 2 here shortly. It's
Excellent.
gonna be fun. Like we went right from LAX to the In-N-Out Burger across the street. But the place that I remember out there the most, it was farther south, was a place called The Loft, which was a Hawaiian restaurant,
Ooh, that
which
sounds
was
fun.
amazing. I
I
got
love
spam
Hawaiian food.
I got spam musubi and a $10 plate of like chicken and rice that was massive. It was way more food than I deserved for $10.
That's one of the things I do. Like, I don't know if it survived the pandemic, but there used to be a Hawaiian place up here, disguised as a tiki bar, because that's how you get certain people in the PDX metro area to, like, you have to lure the hipsters in. So if you call it a tiki bar, they will show up and spend too much money so they can feel cool and collect the little sticks and tell people that part of their personality is going to tiki bars. But so I hope I should check it. I should go and see. Like, I need to go out and eat next week as a treat to celebrate some stuff. But I always order spam stuff, because spam on itself not so much, but when it's prepared in Hawaiian food, spam is delish. Like, I one time had not at this one that may not be there. I will be Googling after this. But the first time I went to a Hawaiian restaurant, they had spam kebabs, and it was like spam, pineapple, cherry tomatoes, sweet slice chunks of sweet onion, and it was grilled and like had some sort of sauce on it. Like, I'm not going to say teriyaki because that makes me sound really basic that I assume it's teriyaki, but it was teriyaki-esque. So, and it was just really good. And it's like, this is why spam exists. It's like, I need to figure out how to make my spam taste like this. And I have not figured it out yet. My friend, Rochelle, who was Hawaiian, used to tell me part of the reason Hawaiian food with spam tastes so good is because the spam that they get over there, because it's so warm, it liquefies the jelly in it. So it basically marinates in that jelly. So it makes it extra delish. I don't know how that translates to food over here, but I'm going to assume that if you're making Hawaiian food with spam, that whatever the process is, you're like treating it the same way that it's treated over there so that that gives it a leg up. Because in general, spam is what I used to feed my cat Henry as a treat. And then he would play with it, he would gnaw on it like a chew toy. And then like 2 weeks later, I'd find the dried up husk of what was left of it and throw it away. But, you know, it was like for him, like playing with the dead rodent. So, but yeah, Hawaiian food is really good. That looks really good, Johnny. I like it.
Thanks. I need to do the rack.
So Spock is always in blue, right?
Yeah, his uniform top is blue, but this looks like a lab coat, so it really could
that's
probably
the thing.
be.
I did some Google searches trying to see if he was ever in a lab coat in the series and couldn't find anything. So I can't decide. Do I do blue because it's Spock, or do I get creative?
You could get creative and do it because they had those in the Naked Time. They had those spacesuits that were like looked like orange shower curtains.
Okay.
So maybe it's PPE like blaze orange.
Yeah. So it looks like the coat is over, like has an open collar. So I'm gonna make that blue like it's his shirt, so that we at least have the Spockness of it. Plus the picture I have of him that I'm gonna try to do the skin tone from has him in blue. So I don't want to stray too far from that. Just go in and give him that blue collar. Oh, wow. Spock is working class spacefarer this day.
Yeah.
His little blue collar. So, yeah.
I think the real working class on the Enterprise is engineering and the red shirts with Scotty.
Anyone who has to look at Kirk every day and pretend like he's not annoying, like that's the working class on that
that's
show.
That's a
if
fair
you don't
comment.
have to deal with Kirk every day, no matter how like grunty your work is, it's still better than having to like the ego on that man. Boy. Let's see.
Yeah, what was the one we just watched Space Seed, and there's a scene where Bones is talking to Kirk, and he's like, "You would have made a fair psychologist," and Kirk's like, "Fair."
Oh my god! Anytime somebody tries to build Kirk up like that, I'm just like, no, like not at all. This guy is terrible. Like, no, that is the last person you would want playing around in your head.
I also apologize. My camera has been it flashes black, like the signal cuts out. It's been doing that since the latest software update for the program that I use to use my cell phone as my camera. So I'm hoping that soon there will be an update that fixes that issue. But
it's fine.
It happens now and again.
According to like the stat thingy, there's like 15 people watching this. And that sounds like all the people we know. So if any of them have issues with your camera, they know how to get in touch with you and complain to you. Let's see. Oh, let's see. We've got Chris Plastic.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, see this is a phenomenon that we don't talk about enough. Too much Food Network making people creative in the kitchen. It happens. No.
That would be fun. I wonder, there has to be. I bet there's like a 80s WWF Superstars coloring book.
Yeah.
That would probably be pretty fun. Get some Hulk Hogan and the Big Boss Man, Akeem the African Dream.
Ed, I might hit you up for some of those recipes. We used to have a lot because my grandfather, the one was an army scientist and the other was a drill sergeant. We ate a lot of army rations in the leaner times of my youth before my dad started working good and we bought a trailer park. So
Is that what spam actually stands for? Is specially packaged army meat? Is that what it means, or is he just?
probably that would make sense because that's probably how it started out. Ooh, and who doesn't love a good Long Island iced tea? Good point, Jerome. We'll leave that up so anyone who wanders in will think we're talking a lot of Star Trek stuff and maybe stick around, not realizing that this is just whatever the hell floats into our head. Quick, let's. So did you have any Star Trek toys as a kid?
So I didn't discover Trek until like next gen in the mid '90s, but then I did have. Actually, Kayla was at a toy show yesterday and sent me a picture of the Playmates Next Generation Bridge playset, which I had, and that thing was amazing. I loved it because you pressed buttons and it made phaser fire sounds and photon torpedo sounds. And I don't know where mine got to. It vanished. A lot of almost all my Star Trek toys. I had the Borg cube. I had the Romulan Warbird, the Klingon Vorcha, the Enterprise D. For the ships that they put out, I had the communicator and the phaser, the tricorder, and I don't know where. And a bunch of the figures I had, like all the Enterprise crew and KLR and Q, and I could go on and on. I don't know where any of it is. No idea. And Kayla was. Yeah, she asked me if I wanted the bridge, and I was like, no, I don't. I have this weird thing, like I don't want to recollect vintage stuff I have. I want my vintage stuff, but I'm generally not going to rebuy stuff that I had. It's not going to mean the same to me if it wasn't my actual one that I had new. I would rather do like buying Masters of the Universe Origins, or that's why when Masters of the Universe Classics came out, I was like, this is freaking amazing. And had like I had the subscription all the way to the end.
Yeah, I didn't get the subscription until the year they did the Princess of Power subline, because I was like, I don't want most of these figures, and there's no guarantee I'm going to get more Princess of Power. The year I was guaranteed that there would be Princess of Power,
right?
Because in general, like, and there are some figures I got from when I was subscribed where I'm like, I really could live without this. I need to go through my classics that I have and see if any of them are. I mean, ironically, Tuscador is one of my favorite characters I got because he's super cool. And that he seems to be one of the least popular of the classics. And I'm just like, but why? He's a weird space elephant dude.
Is he the one that is still available on Big Bad Toy Store?
Not anymore, because he was like marked down at one point to like $15, and I'm like, all right, time to get a Tuscador. And I went and they were sold out.
Now it's gone.
As soon as he hit 15, there were people who suddenly were like all about Tuscador. Who's smack talking now? Me. I'm the smack talker. But yeah, somewhere I have a box with a couple of Tasha Yar figures that I want to customize into Mrs. Voorhees from the first Friday the 13th movie. Because that's sort of the action figure line of the 80s I always felt we should have got, but never did, like Friday the 13th. I mean, and if you think about it, some toy company really missed out because every movie had at least 12 to 13 new teenage victims. Like, that's at least 12 to 15 figures every year. So I'm just saying, Kenner, collect them all.
Big Bad still has the Club Grayskull, Stratos, Shadow Weaver, Roboto, Modulok, and Katrina. All still at $49.99.
I need to get Katrina. Like, that's the one of those that I'm like, I have the Shadow Weaver already. I definitely got her because There were people on the internet very mad that there was a Club Grayskull Shadow Weaver because,
Yeah.
like, she was an exclusive. It's like, no, no, no. Classic Shadow Weaver was an exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow Weaver from Filmation was not.
Right.
So, whatever, peeps. But yeah, I bought that one because I was not going to spend that much money on a Shadow Weaver. And then, people who get mad about, there's some people who got really mad about the Shadow Weaver where it was like, there was no way I wasn't going to buy it at that. As soon as that person like did their little ranty little video about it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy it for sure now. I'm all about
The
that Shadow Weaver.
the only reason people would be upset about about that would be because they were waiting on they bought it as an investment, not as a toy that they wanted to
Right.
enjoy.
Yeah, well, especially when it's not the same figure, it's not the same mold, so it's like you're getting an exclusive figure nobody else is going to get. Nothing has changed. It's not the same Shadow Weaver, but it does completely sort of change the concept of the secondary market because people who want the character can get the character. People who want, and that's going to decrease the people willing to spend a lot of money on your Shadow Weaver. So, I mean, yeah, like you should just never be buying toys as an investment. Said as somebody who had for a long time like 7 giant boxes of Power of the Force 2. I opened those all up and gave them to my cousin's children. So, because I'm like, I don't need this many. I mean, I kept all the stormtroopers because, practicality and all the Leias because you have to have 1,000 Leias.
You need to
You
yeah,
don't
you
have
need
1,000 Leias. Are you even alive? But yeah. All right. Anyway, also Ed chimed in to say yes, that's why it's called spam. So Ed
Oh,
knows.
interesting.
Yep.
I think this looks to be a pretty close
Agreed.
approximation of the
Agreed, Brooke. Agreed. Like when I was in 6th grade, I designed an entire line of Friday the 13th action figures. And Mrs. Voorhees had a button on her back that would make the head pop off. And Alice from the first movie, the final girl, came with machete swinging action. So, and the Kevin Bacon figure had a little like push through the neck feature that was like stolen from real Ghostbusters. So, anyway, there really is a fun line that could be made by some company in the modern age. Super 7, if you're watching this, get on it. Just don't charge me $57 for it.
Has Super 7 done anything with like traditional action features? Like they've done glow in the dark stuff and
I don't
the
think they have.
color change
That's a good
Lionel.
point.
That might be way outside their wheelhouse.
I think,
'Cause
didn't
they don't
NECA do a bunch of Stranger Things with action features?
Yes,
It would probably
because
be NECA because NECA actually does a lot of horror properties.
yeah,
And that would
yeah.
mean I would have to buy NECA, and that's the sort of thing the universe likes to do to me. After my NECA Michael Myers fell off the shelf and shattered, and I swore I would never buy NECA again. NECA will be the one to come out with the action figure Friday the 13th, beyond just the Jasons that they do, like an actual line with all the final girls, where I would have to like buy it and be really miffed about it.
That
All right.
sounds similar to my long-standing grudge with McFarlane toys.
Uh,
Fuck Todd McFarlane and his stupid toy company.
It was like his recent interview with Pixel Dan. I found very. On the one hand, I suddenly understand a lot of his business decisions. On the other hand, some of them are still really like don't make sense to me. And then on the third, when did he turn into my grandpa? That was the other thing. Like,
My grudge is a long-standing grudge since like 2003.
yeah,
I bought all the Metal Gear Solid 2
yeah.
action figures, and all of them except for Solid Snake, which I think I still have in a bin somewhere. They all like broke immediately upon taking them out of the package. Every single one. Fortune's arm fell off. Raiden's fell apart. Like all of them. So I took them all back and returned them, except for Solid Snake. And I'm like, this is not And it was at the time where the guy at because I bought them from Electronics Boutique. He's like, "Why'd you take them out of the package?" Because they're freaking toys.
Yeah, that's what always would annoy me about a NECA. You know, like when I complained, somebody did say to me, like, well, why did you take him out of the package? It's like, because I was going to display him. And they're like, but just leave him in the package. I'm like, but that's not how it works. And so I was, yeah, it's just whatever. Sorry, NECA. But Chris, exactly. How is there not a final girl story? Like, I would even like Barbie style, like, or Shira, like vintage Shira, 5.5 with rooted hair. Like, let's do it.
Yes, Brick. I would love like it will never happen. But
No.
if like Hasbro did like a licensing thing and got rights to Metal Gear Solid and like folded them into G.I. Joe Classified, it would be perfect. Do it as a subline, like they did it with in the old days with the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, like 3.75-3 3/4 inch Joes. Those
Okay.
were great. Do it with Metal Gear Solid and do Metal Gear Solid Classified figures. It'd be fantastic.
All right. So this is a two-parter because Giraffe does the perfect setup. He did an interview with Pixel Dan. Please tell me he was wearing a Batman costume. He was not, Giraffe. And here we have Giraffe coming in for the, well, Thanos. He was not. And then here we've got Giraffe. He probably saves the costume for his wife in the bedroom. Classic, pure classic gold, Giraffe. Thank you for that. Let's see, Chris. I hate Todd McFarlane, the person, but lowercase in parentheses. For millennials, parentheses is what you put a word in when it's like supposed to be like secondary or like thinking out loud. I know we don't do that anymore, but that's the thing. Then the McFarlane toys, DC toys are better than the Mattel toys.
I did buy
True,
one
but
McFarlane DC toy because it was on clearance on Amazon
yeah,
for like $7. It was Etrigan the Demon.
yeah.
And it is sculpt wise, it's fantastic. Like it looks really good, but there is no articulation on that thing at all. Like
I
its arm moves like this much.
I've been getting the McFarlane superpowers, and I've enjoyed those. And you know, I think Donna Troy is still in my pile of loot, but I will buy any Donna Troy figure. I have many DC Direct ones that like fall over if you look at them. So like, I'm almost a hypocrite, but it's just I have to buy Donna Troy stuff so that they know somebody out there wants more Donna Troy figures. So it's
Yeah,
my cause for bear.
it's one of those things. I bought so many copies of re-releases of Final Fantasy VI
Yeah.
because I wanted to put my money where my mouth was and get like a 3D Final Fantasy VI remake.
Yeah.
Like I would love that. If they did a remake of Final Fantasy VI the way they've been doing Final Fantasy VII, that would be like my holy grail of video games. But I don't think that they're going to do that, unfortunately.
Probably not.
What color did you see? Is that like a greenish that you went for with his
Yeah,
lab coat?
it is called, let me pull it up real quick. Cobalt turquoise. Cobalt turquoise. So it's from the Ocean Life pack of Prisma. I almost just did the light aquamarine, but I don't know. I like the darker. It makes the blue stand out better. And then once I finish his skin tone, I think it'll work out good. So, and I think what I came up with for the skin is I'm going to start with his base layer being jasmine. It's sort of yellowish, fleshy tone. This is in the couple of the skin tone recipes I looked at online last night. This is sort of used a lot with sort of Asian skin tones and some Middle Eastern ones. A lot of the Middle Eastern ones put more like henna in it to brown it out a little bit. But based on my reference photo, which I'll pop that up on screen real quick, chemicals. Oh, wait. No, I was smart. So, yep, there it is. So my reference photo of Spock um, is one of the ones where he's pretty heavily made up. So it was harder to tell what his actual tone would be. Because I didn't realize until I was looking at OT pictures, and of course it's with modern technology we're looking at it, how much makeup they actually put on Leonard. So it's harder to tell. So I'm just gonna, I sort of looked at some darker skin tones, and I'm just sort of winging it. So I'm hoping this doesn't, if I unintentionally put Leonard Nimoy in blackface, I apologize. It's not on purpose.
And you
It's
were
that
saying
it went
the
horribly awry.
you were saying based on the colors that I have, you were thinking sand is the best for the base.
Yeah, I have your, so really quick, I know there's probably one or two people who actually care about this, so I want to put it there. So this is the list of Johnny's colors, which I know, phone on a phone miracle. So this is what Johnny has. So based on his, for the color of the shade of skin that Leonard Nimoy tends to have in the pictures I saw, um, I would say sand is your base color and a little shading with tan and maybe taupe. Taupe looks a little dark, so if you have scratch paper, I would that's the same that you printed on. I would try the test that taupe to make sure it's not too dark. Otherwise, I think the sand and the tan and maybe a dash of peach, like that'll give you sort of a. It looks like his natural skin tone is a little Mediterranean-ish, with sort of that the darker olivey thing. But I don't know if we call it olive skin anymore. That might be an outdated term. But yeah, so a little, I think that would give you more of the sort of Mediterranean side of things than like Caucasian stuff. Because Peach is just going to make him look like a white dude. And he definitely did not have, like, well, Kurt was very pink. Like, if I were doing Kirk, I would start with like eggshell, cream. Let's see how white we can get. It would be eggshell, then cream, and then some white, and then pink, and then a little peach. That's Kurt right there. Like eggshell, cream. He would be so white that you start with eggshell. But yeah, so with what I have, I'm jasmine, and it's a good base layer. Like it looks pretty good base wise. Um, if I were being lazy, I would just do a couple more layers of the jasmine and call it good, but I'm not. So I want to actually like try, because it's good to try to do things that you've never done before. So yeah, I did jasmine, and now I'm going to do a little rosy beige. It should hopefully give him a little bit more shade and make his skin glow a little, because we need him to glow. We want him to look like he's alive. That's really, and for the 2 or 3 people who watch this who are doing coloring stuff, let me throw you some crumbs that isn't just me and Johnny babbling about nerd stuff and spam and Coco Vaughn and shade. The key to a skin tone is you just put down a solid base layer and then find a reasonable color to shade with, and you just do real light shading. And that will actually get you a reasonable skin tone. That's all I do. And at least one of the people I know who's was going to try to watch this today, I might watch on rerun, has asked about skin tone and messaging. And that's the secret to a good skin tone. You just want to shade it. If you look at your own skin in the mirror, you are not, even if you were a Caucasian person, your skin has got like oranges and yellows and pinks and reds. So a peach shade is sort of a default, but it's also kind of not really close to what's actually going on. So just and play with, unless you're being bougie like me and trying to put it on the internet for everyone to look at. If you mess it up, nobody knows but you, and you can always try it again. So no harm in messing up and trying to learn and get it going.
I'm wondering with the way they did his eyes, is this like what year did you say this is from?
1979.
I wonder if this is more based on the animated series.
I think it. Well, it's weird because there were like 4 different books that. The reason I bought it was I was hoping Ilea was in it. And then I got it and it was not. And then I bought another one and it was not. So the book, it looks as though it's from the animated show. There's the cat lady is not in it though, which is, you know,
Oh yeah, you would think that she would
disappointing.
be.
But all of the pictures for the books that they released, it was all 1979, and it all used photographs from the movie for the covers. So it seems like maybe they were trying to half-ass it by promoting it as though it were part of the movie, and then using sort of the filmation animation style from the series. It was filmation, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things like the Star Trek Generations action figures for the main crew, Picard, Data, etc.
Yeah.
They were done off of concept drawings. So the uniforms that the Generations toys are wearing are not the uniforms that they used in the movie.
Right. Yeah, that happens a lot with. Well, that's why, like, for anyone who for The Force Awakens, everyone was like, Constable Zuko, we got this figure, and it's like, that's because he was from early drafts and his scene got completely cut. And because Disney does no, and J.J. Abrams is all no spoilers. Which I don't care about stuff like that. Like, as a kid with Star Wars, it was like, the best characters were like the Cantina creatures and the people who were on screen for like 3 seconds, because you could do more play with those than you could sort of. I mean, we all I use Leia and the droids, but like if you were using Han and Luke, you could still have way more adventure time if you were using, Hammerhead than if you were trying. I mean, Greedo gets shot and dies. Like, there's pretty limited play value with Greedo. But all those other off-screen characters that blink and you miss them, like there's so much more you can do with those. So I wasn't as offended by I'm not like, it doesn't bother me when there's an action figure for a character that doesn't actually make it to the final screen, because why not?
It's a bonus. It's a bonus figure.
Yeah, right. And for Star Wars, like for me, a lot of the fun is sort of like the stuff that doesn't make it to the screen, the behind the scenes stuff. All that expanded universe stuff is fun.
Brick, I know Filmation Trek is on Paramount Plus with the rest of the.
If you guys decide to include that at some point in your rewatch, let me know, because that was actually Trek, and that's probably why my parents took me to that movie, because I do remember that cartoon and I did like the cat lady. And probably because I watched the cartoon and I liked Star Wars, they probably thought it would like be. I mean, I probably went expecting the cat lady to be part of it. And then there was the bald lady, because, that was a big part of the media machine. Like, look, there's a hot lady who shaved her head. Like, it's unique. So.
I don't think we would do it as an episode by episode thing.
Yeah.
But we might do it as a special, because I think there's only like 20 episodes of
there
that
aren't
show.
a lot of them, and they're only 20 minutes, so it's not like you would get a full. If you do just like an episode or two dedicated to it, just let me know, because I'd be happy to show up for that, and there's some opinions. So
Actually,
that might be fun. Like if you guys need to record some stuff to save, and
yeah, there's
have
22
sort of in the can in case you.
There's 22 episodes. I did watch the first one recently, just out of curiosity, because I don't think I'd ever seen it before, and it's not bad. Like, it's just like an episode of Star Trek, which is one of the things. Like, I was reading stuff about it on Memory Alpha, and it's like a lot of the same writers who did Star Trek episodes, because it was during a Writers Guild strike, at that time, but as like animation was different, so they were able to write and get paid for doing the scripts for the animated series. And so they're written by people who wrote normal Star Trek episodes.
Yeah. That's interesting. I kind of had always assumed, but didn't realize that was it.
And then
Yeah.
like the whole cast did voices for their characters.
That's cool. It's yeah, because that's hard. I mean, like I find that surprising with Shatner and Leonard Nimoy because it would have been around the time they were both trying to like do other things. But it's cool that they did that. Like, despite the fact that they both tried to have careers outside of Trek, it's really interesting how easily they came back every time. Whenever, like, basically when Gene Roddenberry was around, it seemed like anytime Gene called, they were there. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. All right. And then for people keeping track of the actual coloring, I added some pumpkin orange to the skin to give it a little bit more texture, then some more jasmine. And I am, let's see, where's it at? All right, here we go. No, not that one. And then I'm gonna finish his skin up with salmon pink. So, and just a light dusting. We're not gonna color over it, just a little bit so he's got a little color. Everyone should have a little color to their face so that they don't look like The Walking Dead, because that show is terrible. It had 2 or 3 good years and then just kept going forever and ever. And now, is that show even on still?
There's various permutations. I was just talking to Kayla about this. I randomly decided to watch the first couple episodes of Walking Dead Daryl Dixon because they gave him his own spinoff.
Daryl. Yeah, there you go.
And minor spoilers, but from the first 2 episodes, it just kind of feels like they're doing The Last of Us in The Walking Dead.
There you go. That's fair. I wonder if Carol's probably been eaten by now. That's the one thing I did like about the Walking Dead show is in the comic books that the Carol character was such a horrible waste of time and energy. And they made her in the show, and it's because of that actress. That actress just made her a cool character. And that's one of the times where they really diverged from the comic that I was fine with it. Where I was like, okay, like this is rad. Like this is why they shouldn't be, sort of so dependent. And then there was another point where I'm like, when it comes to Glenn, they should definitely not be too dependent on that horrible thing in the comic book. And then they were. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to do this. I'm tired of watching characters. And if somebody has not watched The Walking Dead and doesn't know that Glenn dies horribly and that I spoiled it for you, oh well, you're fine. You don't need to watch that. It's horrific and terrible and awful. Don't do that to yourself.
Well, and like Daryl isn't even from the comics. He's an original character made for the show.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's really weird. Sorry. Something suddenly popped up. Giraffe. I love sarcasm. But Johnny and Kayla have not listened to those albums yet, and I did suggest to them because I am a good person and only want the best for my friends. I did suggest that they listen to those and make both of those albums episodes of their show. Because I feel like until you have experienced the joy of that like are you even alive, bro? All right. So all right. I'm going to be creative with the hair. And this is where if I had like a soundboard, I would clip in Tanya from TikTok going, everybody's so creative. And I don't have that yet. Next time. So everything I saw, they gave Spock like some really bitchin' like lavender slash purplish eyeshadow. So we're going full amethyst and get him like a proper upper lid. And then, so there's some amethyst, and then I'm going to use blush pink and just sort of buff that out. There we go. Some Spock eye action. So technically we are now also a makeup channel. So toy tube, color tube, and makeup all in one. Is there anything I can't do? Yeah, there's quite a bit actually, but you know. There you go. Oh my goodness.
I'm
I
I'm
just
not
saw
that
the time, Johnny.
what's that? Yeah, I'm not
I
that
just saw the
ambitious.
time.
I just
Wow.
left his black eyebrows there.
No, you're fine. All right, so all I'm going to do, all I have left to do with this guy is color his hair black. And I'm not going to do anything unique with that, just give him a nice solid black hair. So this purple, lavender, amethyst can pop. We are going to put Johnny back on the screen. And we'll just look at Johnny's for the rest of the next 4 or 5 minutes while we sort of start moving toward wrapping up. I cannot, again, see, this is why when I'm sitting here recording video, you know, doing my time lapse for my shorts or, you know, anything with the coloring, and it's like, if I don't respond to, if any, and a lot of you in chat actually message me, I know, go fig. If I don't respond to you and it, Discord tells you I'm at my, you know, like I'm not away and it's green, this is why. Because I will sit here and like get into this and like talk to myself or listen to a YouTube video. And when I say talk to myself, I'm usually doing working out scripts for like videos that I'm making where I actually have to talk. Like I monologue those in my head. And so yeah, that's why, because blank, and it's been like an hour and 45 minutes since we started. So
Yeah.
which is a good again for those of you who aren't coloring right now, definitely pick some stuff up, because it's also really relaxing. It's good for stress. It's a way you can be if you're a creative person who you don't get to be creative a lot. This is sort of how I fell back into it, because a lot of times my job would just wipe me out and I would want to do something creative but not have any sort of energy to be creative or make, you know, like I would, customizing figures like took too much brain power. And I found coloring, like the picture's already drawn for you for the most part. You know what color thing, you know, like if I'm doing She-Ra, like I know what color She-Ra is. It's just 100% like coloring it. So I totally recommend it. It's really good for stress. It was one of the things my therapist suggested for me for stress relief in the evening. You know, because at some point during the pandemic, we all learned that that box of wine was not helping you de-stress the way we thought it was. So, heartily and thoroughly recommend. You know, Johnny has the 50 pencil Crayola box, which I want to say is still under $20. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I think it's like in the $20 range, which is really good for 50 pencils. They are good pencils. Yeah, so get yourself some colors. And some of you in the chat, I've actually already invited to come on here at some point. So you get to color at some point anyway. So, all right, let's see. Nimoy had a great mystery TV series. I never saw that, but I heard good things about it. Thanos, Thanos, I went about 20, 30 issues after that on Walking Dead and just shouldn't have. I should have stopped there. The album Shatner did with Ben Folds wasn't terrible, but Chris, there's nothing anyone could do with Ben Folds that wouldn't be, you know, like anything with Ben Folds is going to be at least not terrible. because Ben Folds is kind of he's kind of rad. Sort of. If they like Lord of the, yeah. Oh God, that's right. Oh my God, you have to do the Memory one because there's Lord of the Rings content for Kayla. Kayla, you guys have to do that. I just thank you so much, Giraffe. I completely spake because Kayla loves Lord of the Rings. Well,
Yes, she does.
Tolkien, which is more than just the Lord of the Rings, but yeah. So, all right. So I just finished, which is rad. I didn't finish last time, but yeah.
I have not, but
That's fine. Like it's cool because I didn't think I was gonna finish. So
that would be a that's what they said for Kayla.
right. True. Well, and how many times no. Ironically, I was asked earlier this what was it, like 3 a.m. Like, did you finish? And the question was like, what do you think? So yeah. And I did finish, so it was ironic. But, all right.
I'm doing the safety orange for the lab coat. I don't think
Do
it
it.
would be.
What color is it? Just orange, or is it? There's allegedly there's allegedly a color in that box called tangerine that I've heard is a really. It's the reason that at some point I'm going to pick up that box because the tangerine one apparently is really like a really nice shade, and it's not like anything in any of the other boxes I have. So that is the one thing that will get me to buy an entire set of pencils that I probably don't need is when somebody's like, this color is not like anything else we have in any of these other boxes. And then like, well, I got to see that for myself.
This box does not have a tangerine, but this is a couple years old.
Okay.
It's got red, orange, orange, light orange, yellow, orange, mango, golden yellow, and yellow.
Well, I will find the Crayola box that has the tangerine because I bet all of those are in it as well. So, perfect. All right, let's. Brick. Hell yeah, Nimoy on Dildo Daggins. Forgot. 100%. He was all up on that dildo. Yep, you do. Brick is correct. Brick is usually right, I have found in this universe. Yep, 100%.
I can't argue with that.
We're almost done, Rick, but yeah, no. We'll pop after. Well, it says Rick on there now, so I feel like it's okay to call you Rick on streams because it says that. So, and here's a fun fact for you, Rick. Friday the 13th Part 3, originally the character of Rick was named Derek, and they changed his name because they figured it was much easier to scream Rick when Chris was running from Jason and she didn't know Rick was dead because Derek is more syllables, so it's harder to scream Derek than Rick. So there you go. Some Friday the 13th trilogy for the people at home.
Which next week is
Friday is Friday.
Or this week, this coming Friday.
Oh, yeah,
Friday the 13th.
Friday. So, yeah, that's a good reminder. So, if you are going to the woods this coming weekend, it's both Friday the 13th and it is Halloween, which is spooky season. So, don't do drugs, no premarital sex. Do not drown the cook at the summer camp son. Don't drown him in the lake. Do not brush your hair in front of a mirror if your little brother is wearing a clown costume. That would be bad. And what else do you not do in this life? Do not ask if it's just a joke. It's never a joke. Everybody is dead. It's not a joke. You aren't all going to be laughing about this tomorrow. Everyone else is dead but you.
Don't answer the phone?
Don't answer well, if you're in the woods, you don't always have the phone, but also keep in mind that your phone is not going to have service at all once you get past the gas station where the creepy old guy told you turn around. So
Which did you watch? Like, was it? It was either last year or the year before. Netflix did that thing where they did the 3 Fear Street movies
Yeah,
like
I did.
within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That was neat. I would have liked to have seen something else like that.
I in general, like, I feel like, well, like the guy who his name just escaped me, but The Haunting of Hill House, who has the House of Usher coming up.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
actually
right.
covering that on Friday.
Well, he did The Midnight Club, which is Christopher Pike, who was
Yes.
same time as Fear Street. Was a, I am a huge. I still have all of my Christopher Pike books from the first one. Because that came out when I was in high school. I remember getting his first book for Christmas and not knowing who he was. Just that it looked like a scary movie on the cover.
Oh wait, were those Fear Street movies based on books?
Fear Street, yep, Fear Street was a
Oh,
series by R.L. Stein. He did. There was like 100 of them, I'm sure. I stopped reading his book. I stopped reading Fear Street like senior year of high school, because they didn't age as well. They were. I mean, often he would describe characters as like, she looks like Molly Ringwald, and that was how you
the,
know what she looked like. And I'm like, that's a little lazy, R.L. Stein. So yeah. All right, let's see. I want to see Spock with stark white hair. Speaking of filmation, he looks like clone from. Yes, that's accurate. They probably reused some of that animation for clone on Black Star, because filmation would do that. They would just trace other characters. Ed is correct. Tubi has a lot of old good cartoons on it. We already highlighted this, but we're going to highlight it again because, yes, they should have been singing Superstars. And then at least wait until Saturday to do the drowning accurate. Because if it's Saturday the 14th, nobody will see it. Just like that movie. So, all right. We've got about 3 minutes till 1, so we should probably wrap this up. Johnny, Johnny is pretty much done. Anyway, you've got, it looks like the one behind him.
yeah, I haven't filled that one in. I haven't
That's fine.
decided what color to do that one. But
Well,
and I
yeah,
didn't do a background or the cabinet.
I don't
But I
expect
mean, this would probably it'd be hard to do these with anything but just making them
you
gray.
would just have to do them gray. That's what I just had, different gray. So I used like 3 different grays. So
I did
quickly,
try to get kind of fancy with the smoke.
I see that. Not bad. If you had had Prismacolors, you could have blended that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my only shade about your pencils.
And this here I didn't do.
Oh,
Either,
yeah.
but
Well, I recommend you finish it and then stick it up on Instagram and like tag us. And
yeah.
So, and that's what I'll do with mine in a few minutes. It's really quick. Check one last comment. I'm almost never right. I must be using Jedi mind tricks. It's true. So.
And then I think I'll have to come back and we'll have to do this one too.
Yeah, we will do that. I will have you back and we'll do that second one. Because I really want it, it's got everyone. Well, not everyone. It's got Nichelle Nichols. Like, we need some Nichelle Nichols action. So yeah, I will definitely. There will be times where I need people to come back. So, and obviously, we still have stuff to talk about if we manage to fill this much time and not realize we had filled this much time.
Yeah, for sure. I looked up and I was like, oh, we've been doing this for an hour and a half already.
Yeah, I looked at it. I'm like, wow, it's only 11:40, and then I was like, no, 12:45. I was like, whoa. So really quick, just pop mine up real quick. So there we go. I gave him some fanciness. And I made that blue also for brick. Eventually it will become the substance that dude in the desert with the glasses makes. All right. And then we will end on Johnny because he's got full screen. So anyway, really quickly, Johnny, where can people find you?
Lucha Johnny on all the things. which is essentially Twitter and Instagram, which I don't do good with. I don't do the social media, and that's why Kayla does all the social media for the channel. Like if it's a GTFO channel account, that's coming from Kayla. Except like the one weekend I was at the Game Con and I posted something, which this is an 8-bit me.
Nice.
It was made for an activity they did at the Game Con, so I got a little 8-bit perler bead me. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to, like, I posted a picture yesterday of
Sweet.
Daniel from the Studio Series 86. Oh, here he is. I just took a picture of him and posted him
Nice.
on Instagram. So I'm just gonna post. I'm gonna try to post a random toy related picture once a day.
Just throw some geeky stuff up there, like
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, throw that up there so people can go find it and you, and that way they can also see that when I invite them, it's obviously not that scary. Well, again, you have a little bit of art background, so I'll just tell them you don't. Like Johnny doesn't know how to do anything. And look,
I've never done it before. This is my first time.
Yeah. So you guys have a live? Is it a live stream on Monday or is it recorded?
It's gonna be live.
Okay.
So yeah, Monday tomorrow at 10 Eastern. We'll be talking about. We're doing our first non-Star Trek rewatch. Because Kayla has seen Stranger Things and I have never watched Stranger Things.
You're in for a treat.
We're gonna talk about the first 2 episodes of Stranger Things.
Excellent. And I was a teenage barb.
Yeah. Thursday will be the next Trek retrek for A Taste of Armageddon.
Excellent.
And then that's at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then Friday at, I'm not sure what time yet for Friday, but we're gonna be talking about the Fall of the House of Usher.
Ooh.
The new, because it comes out on Netflix.
Ooh, I know what I'm watching this week. Geek The F Out and House of Usher. Because yeah. Right. Let's see. Obviously, if you're here, you know who I am. I'll be having daily shorts as always, at least through December. I have a short collection that'll hit the main channel. Well, the main page of my channel probably on Tuesday. And then next Saturday night, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be live with Make Shape Create. He's a creator here on YouTube who does custom figures. He does a lot of He-Man stuff, so it's really exciting for me. Because he's one of the people who inspired me to get back into customizing, and the fact he agreed to like come on and talk to me on a live stream about customizing, total geek moment. And then next Sunday I will be here with coloring again with Lawrence, aka A Punk with Toys. At the same time we were here today, so hopefully we will see you all here. Definitely come see next week with me and Lawrence, because you know we all know how controversial Lawrence can be. So anyway,
do you want to say what are you guys coloring? Do you want to say yet?
We're going to color some G.I. Joe stuff. I need to check in with him to see what he picked. So my hope is he picked Shipwreck, because as a child he never had a Shipwreck figure, I think is the story. I think that's what it was, right? He didn't have a Shipwreck. Or maybe he had, I don't know. Like, he has an emotional connection to Shipwreck, and I'm not going to, like, question that. So
I think my buddy's, I think my Shipwreck is at my buddy's store waiting for me to go pick up.
Yeah. So, you know, we may have to do a collection for Lawrence to get him Shipwrecks, because I don't even know if he has a Shipwreck anymore, and like everyone needs a Shipwreck. So anyway, and Black Phoenix, yes, Make Shape Create is awesome. He's the best. And thank you for making it out. I don't know if I saw you here earlier, if I missed a comment from anyone. It's just I'm still new to the side of it, so I will get that. So anyway, thank you everyone who was here. Have a great day. Brick and Adam are doing something somewhere here on the YouTube today about AWOC, I bet. So go watch that. And then there's Hella Dope and Geek Dad Life, and probably and Brick has his own whole ass show this afternoon, the news with Michael from Toy Habits, and then Toy Habits is on later tonight. So there are plenty of Toy Tubey things to go do. And I will see you all later. Have a great evening, my glorious children of the corn. Good night.
Bye.